Okay, before I get going, I just want to say one thing. I am not giving you investment advice. This is not a crypto investment video. Instead, I'm flagging something that's quietly monumental and is going on behind the scenes. Something that has the power to reshape the internet, reshape the economy, and change how we interact and live our lives online. A lot of my content on Layered Future focuses quite naturally on AI because it's one of the biggest forces of technology that's changing our lives. But I'm also really keen to talk about changes in the internet, changes to automation such as robotics, and so expect a lot of videos focusing on those areas as well. Now, the thing I'm talking about is called Web3, and the reason I'm making this video now is because the ship is about to sail. Most people haven't even heard of Web3, and if they have, they might have gone to look for it and come away quite confused. And that's because it's not there yet, or at least not in any polished, user-friendly sense. There's no slick front end, and there's no Web3 app store full of tools. But underneath the surface, an entirely new digital engine room is being built, and it's likely to power the internet of the future. Right now, too few people realize what's taking place, but big institutions do, and they're already climbing aboard to position themselves for profit before the rest of the world catches on. And why wouldn't they? Ignorance is a financial opportunity. And if the general public don't realise there's a ship that's leaving the harbour, then big institutions can take all the seats and make profit from it. I think this quiet revolution needs bringing into the light because it's not just about money or markets, it's about reclaiming the internet. Now, there are people out there that will tell you that Web3 is a fad or a passing trend, but I find that perspective hard to believe because I see it as a correction, a return to what the internet was always supposed to be: open, decentralized, and owned and operated by the very people that use it. Not captured by giant corporations, not driven by data harvesting, and not owned by shareholders. You see, not long after it began, the internet was hijacked. The minute it started to show value, big players moved in and carved it up. They gave us free access for the very platforms we now rely on. And of course it worked. We didn't know any better. We were blind to what the internet could have been had we stayed on a more decentralized path. Instead, we got Web 2, that's today's internet. Efficient, yes, but also owned by corporations. It's entirely centralized and controlled by big tech. That decentralized vision never died though. What is now being described as Web 3 was carrying on beneath the surface. It just went quiet, but in the background some very clever people were building some very clever things. They never stopped, from peer-to-peer file sharing to open source software. There's been a slow, steady pushback against the internet becoming a corporate commodity. Web3 is the next stage of that resistance. And it's different. Now there's the tech to scale it. We have things like smart contracts, decentralized storage, and digital currencies that can fuel it all. So the foundations have been laid, but there's a problem. It's not yet really usable by the average person. Also, most people that have heard of Web3 but don't know a lot about it simply associate it with crypto, and they think it's all about silly meme coins or scams. And I'm not going to pretend that those things don't exist, because they do, but those focusing on that miss the deeper story, because the infrastructure behind crypto is what powers Web3. Decentralized finance, distributed databases, and new ways to own and share media. It's all there and it works, but it's just quite difficult to use at the moment. This is where I think there's an important crossover with AI. I've previously written about how agentic AI may become the interface of Web3. Not websites or dashboards, but AI agents. This means we wouldn't need to understand Web3 and how to use it. We wouldn't need to understand blockchains that drive it or need any complex tools to navigate it. We would just tell our AI what we wanted and it would do the heavy lifting. So even though right now agentic AI is not there yet, I think that's the missing piece. But regardless of how Web3 is made usable by the public, once that happens, it's really going to take off. And when people start experiencing the benefits of Web3, better control over their data, shared ownership, and better value distribution, then adoption is going to explode. And make no mistake, big institutions can see this coming. Major financial players are already on board. They're exploring tokenized real estate and putting real-world assets on Web3 blockchains. Put simply, they're building quietly behind the scenes. And they're not just experimenting. They're buying billions of dollars of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other utility tokens. Meanwhile, the general public just see crypto as a bit of a joke or something for scammers or fanatics. And this is because that's all we're shown. Media corporations focus on scams or suddenly when Bitcoin goes up massively in price, and they barely mention the infrastructure. And the result is that most people just stay with older systems, even while they're visibly creaking. High inflation, economic instability, and a traditional world that's showing cracks as AI enters the stage. All the while, a new internet is forming beneath our feet, and the moment of awareness of that is edging ever closer every day. Now just think of Apple, Google, or Facebook way back when the internet was young and everyone thought it was just a fad. That's where we are right now, but with Web3. Now, of course, there are plenty of criticisms of a decentralized internet. People say that decentralization facilitates crime. They talk about the dark web, scams, and money laundering. But let's be honest, crime already exists in the highly centralized world we've built. We live in one of the most tightly monitored societies in history, and unfortunately, crime hasn't gone anywhere. We don't ban cash because it's used for tax evasion, and we don't ban cars because they're used for robberies. We regulate, we educate, and we build better systems. And it shouldn't be any different for Web3. Yes, Bitcoin has been used for crime, but then not as much as the dollar or the pound. Meanwhile, Web3 opens up opportunities for transparency, autonomy, and freedom, but it threatens traditional power structures, and that's why so many big institutions are quite keen to discredit it. But interestingly, some of those institutions are also investing in it behind the scenes, and I believe that contradiction alone tells us everything that we need to know. Right now, we're at the start of something huge. The tech is here, the visions are forming, and the applications are coming. But the interfaces aren't ready, and so the value hasn't yet trickled down, which in my mind can only mean one thing: opportunity. Because once Web3 goes mainstream, the early positions will already be taken. This isn't about hype, and it's certainly not any sort of financial advice. All I'm saying is that the ship is getting ready to sail. And this time it's not just about money, it's about reclaiming the internet and deciding who gets to shape the future. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you soon. This video was based on my writing over at layeredfuture.com. If you'd like to explore the full article or browse through other topics, you'll find it all there.